think about a time when, your own two hands, or maybe a blade, attached to your rifle, were basically your only means of survival in a fight. It's quite a stark thought, isn't it? But that was reality not so long ago.
Oh, absolutely.
And today we're plunging into a really fascinating document from exactly that era.
We are indeed. We're taking a deep dive into Colonel A.J. Drexel Biddle's Do or Die, a manual on individual combat. And this isn't just some dusty historical thing, it's a practical guide. Copyrighted 1937, then again in 1944, published by the Leatherneck Association.
Right.
Its core purpose is, well, brutally direct, self-preservation through individual combat. So we're talking hand-to-hand, knife fighting, bayonet techniques, the whole spectrum, really, of close-quarter stuff.
And what jumps out right away, I think, is that this wasn't just theory. The introduction to the new edition, it explicitly states how wartime experience proved the need for Marines trained in these skills.
Yeah, absolutely validated it.
This manual became like fundamental for hand-to-hand combat, weaponless defense, and especially mastering the bayonet.
And what's particularly telling in this updated edition, probably the 44 one, is a tactical shift. You see it in both bayonet and knife fighting.
Whoa, how so?
Well, the emphasis moves more towards the slash, specifically a left to right slash aimed right at the throat. Then you follow with a parry, a right step, and a hand cut.
Interesting. So that replaced.
That replaced a prior focus on the thrust. It really suggests a real-world adaptation, based on what was actually proving most effective in combat. It just underscores how battlefield experience shapes even, basic fighting techniques.
Definitely. So for everyone listening, our mission today is to really extract the essential wisdom from this manual. We want to give you a shortcut, sort of, to understanding the core principles of individual combat as they were understood and taught back then.
Yeah, Colonel Biddle covers a huge range of techniques.
He really does. And we're here to guide you through what's most significant. So let's kick things off with something that might seem surprisingly, sophisticated for a rifle attachment.
Yeah.
Bayonet fencing.
Yeah, it's a great starting point because Biddle immediately makes a key distinction. Bayonet fencing isn't just, wildly swinging a bayonet.
Right.
It's presented as a refined, almost scientific method of using the weapon. The manual stresses that a skilled bayonet fencer really prioritizes preserving the rifle itself.
Preserving the rifle.
Yeah, you rarely use the butt except for very specific thrusts. That tells you a lot about the value placed on keeping that firearm functional, even when things get up close and personal.
Okay, so it's about precision, control, not just brute force. The manual details specific stances, and the first is the square guard. What's the core idea behind this position?
So the square guard, you step your forward foot back a bit, adopt a kind of straddle stance, and hold the rifle horizontally, maybe 4 inches below your chin, with the bayonet pointing downwards.
Okay, downward.
And the manual specifically mentions it's good for crowded environments. From this position, you get commands like point and butt, or butt and point, and you execute those with a short step or even a little jump in. The order of the command tells you which end goes first. It suggests the square guard is all about staying ready and having immediate options, especially in tight spaces.
Versatility in tight quarters. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, there's also the left guard. How does that stance offer a different tactical advantage?
The left guard positions your left foot about 16 inches behind your right.
16 inches, okay.
Then the rifle is moved swiftly over to the left side of your body. Your right hand grips it at the balance point, and your left hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on the small of the stock.
Got it.
This stance is the starting point for a more complex maneuver called left parry butt strike cut down pass by.
Whoa, okay. That's a mouthful.
It is. But the whole sequence is designed for advancing attacks at very close range. And the manual really emphasizes stepping in decisively with each component. It's all about closing that gap aggressively.
That sounds like a really rapid, overwhelming sequence. Parry, strike, cut, move, pass, all super close. Really emphasizes taking the initiative. Now, the manual also brings in elements from traditional fencing with the gain and point. How's that adapted for the bayonet?
Yeah, this is where you clearly see the influence from épée fencing.
Yeah.
Where the whole body is a target. The gaining point starts with a feint directed towards the lower front middle section of the opponent.
Okay, a feint low.
Right, the goal is to draw a parry from them. Once they react, bam, the bayonet fencer executes a swift thrust straight to the throat.
Ah.
And the crucial thing here, as the manual points out, is a smooth, gliding action of the blade. No jerky movements that would telegraph the attack. It's a classic example of using deception to exploit a reaction.
So, feint low to attack high, a fundamental principle, really, across different combat styles. The manual also stresses the importance of the in and out movement. Why is that constant motion so critical for a bayonet fencer?
In and out is about maintaining a dynamic presence. You just can't afford to be a static target in a fight like this.
Makes sense.
This constant movement lets you engage immediately or withdraw or change your angle. Keeps the opponent guessing, stops them from setting up a stable attack. It's really core to staying alive in a fluid combat situation.
Keeping your opponent unsettled and creating opportunities. Got it. Now let's talk about the hand cut. It sounds like a technique that pops up in different places in the manual.
Exactly. The hand cut, as described for both the bayonet and the knife, is explicitly linked to sword movements. The attacker steps towards the opponent, uses the flat of their blade to parry the opponent's attack,
Okay, parry with the flat.
then immediately rotates the sharp edge downwards and delivers a slash to the throat. The manual gives two variations depending on the footwork. Right step, left parry, hand cut, or left step, right parry, hand cut. It highlights that common principle. Parry and immediately counter with a decisive strike to a vital area.
A seamless transition from defense to offense, targeting a vulnerable point. What about just a more direct defensive move, simply the parry? What makes a bayonet parry effective?
In the bayonet context, the parry is described as a sharp, forceful deflection of the opponent's blade, either to your right or your left. What the manual emphasizes is the strategic importance of varying the direction.
Ah, mixing it up.
Yeah. By not always parrying the same way, you stop your opponent from anticipating your defense and setting up their next attack. It's about adding unpredictability to your defense.
Making yourself a difficult target to read. Okay. Now, for really close quarters, like inside a trench, the manual recommends the at-the-throat defense. How does the jab guard help with that?
Right, in super tight spaces like trenches, the manual suggests the jab guard position. You hold the rifle vertically, bayonet point upwards, right under your chin.
Okay, very compact.
Yeah, and this compact stance is surprisingly effective for defense in close combat, especially against upward thrusts. You use the flat of the blade, the edges, to deflect incoming attacks,
Yeah.
basically using your rifle like a mobile shield right in front of you.
Using the weapon's length and point, even when there's hardly any room. What if your opponent is just slightly out of reach? The manual describes the throw point.
The throw point is a technique designed to bridge that exact gap when an opponent is too far for a standard thrust from your on-guard position. You advance your right foot and at the same time extend your right arm, throwing the point of the bayonet forward.
So a lunge, essentially.
Kind of. You keep the blade flat, sharp edge to your right, and importantly, your left arm extends outwards for balance. This gives you that extra reach, and the extended rifle actually provides leverage to easily pull it back to your on-guard stance afterwards.
A way to extend your reach and immediately recover.
Nice.
The manual also mentions juggling the piece. That sounds theatrical. What's the practical application?
Huh. Juggling the piece isn't about performance. It refers to a series of rapid transitions between different ready positions, guard, short guard, jab guard, combined with coordinated footwork.
Oh.
These commands trigger quick shifts in how you hold the rifle in your stance. There's also a more complex sequence, pass, shift, parry, and point, which involves a foot pass, changing guard, then a parry and thrust. The point isn't showmanship. It's about developing the speed and coordination to adapt seamlessly to changing threats and keep that dynamic advantage.
Keeping the opponent guessing with constant shifts, maintaining readiness. Okay. Now, the Croy's attack and defense sounds like it uses the opponent's own move against them.
Precisely. The Croix is clever. It turns a defensive situation into an offensive one. When your opponent parries your attack, you execute a downward turn of your wrist.
Okay.
This action traps their blade against yours, basically neutralizing their defense and creating an immediate opening for a riposte that's the counterattack straight to their throat. It's all about capitalizing on their reaction.
Turning their defense into their vulnerability. Very efficient. What about a more forceful way to deal with someone? The manual describes the knockdown.
The knockdown is definitely more assertive. You start by parrying to your right, then immediately step in with your right foot, bringing the stock of your rifle firmly against the opponent's body.
Right into them.
Yeah, then you press forward with the stock while simultaneously delivering a heel kick to the back of their left calf. This combination of force and disruption should make them lose balance and flow backward, at which point you can deliver a butt stroke to their chest. It's a decisive sequence designed to quickly incapacitate.
Brutal. A combination of leverage, a disabling kick, and a finishing blow.
Wow.
The manual even covers being in a vulnerable position with the defense against someone standing over you.
Yeah, this is a specific defensive posture for when you've fallen and the opponent is standing over you. The defender positions their left instep behind the heel of the attacker's forward foot
Okay, trapping their heel.
and places their right foot firmly against the attacker's front shin just below the knee. This creates leverage and instability for the attacker, potentially disrupting their balance and giving you a chance to do this. Well, something else, though the manual doesn't detail the immediate follow-up from there.
Creating an obstacle and disrupting their stability even when you're down makes sense. The manual also breaks down the fundamental steps and leaps in bayonet fencing. Why is mastering this basic footwork so critical?
These movements, the advance, left then right step forward, retire, right then left step back, the side steps, left step, right step, the longer front pass and rear pass, and those powerful leaps, they are the absolute foundation.
Groundwork.
Exactly. They control your distance, let you create attack angles, generate the power for thrusts and parries. Without solid footwork, none of the fancy techniques will work effectively.
Right, the essential foundation. Finally, for the bayonet section, there are the volts. What kind of tactical flexibility do these circular movements offer?
Volts are pivoting movements done on the ball of your forward foot. The command tells you the direction, right volt, left volt, to the rear, right volt, and so on.
Okay.
Their main purpose is to let you quickly shift your facing and your on-guard position, maybe to dodge an attack or create a new angle for your own strike. As you do the volt, you raise the rifle barrel vertically to avoid hitting anything, and then lower it, ready for an immediate thrust as you finish the turn and set your new on-guard. It's about staying mobile and keeping options open.
So, surprisingly intricate and a really comprehensive system of combat built just around a rifle and bayonet. It's clear this was a highly developed skill.
Absolutely.
Let's shift gears now to another brutal close quarters discipline, knife fighting.
Indeed. The manual dedicates quite a bit of attention to knife fighting. It acknowledges that Marines might run into it in various places they operated. What's really noteworthy is the strong emphasis on the hand cut as the most effective technique. It explicitly contrasts it with what it calls native methods.
Interesting terminology.
Yeah, it reflects a specific tactical doctrine of the time, certainly.
And the Bowie knife gets a specific highlight. What made it the preferred method in this manual?
Well, the manual presents the Bowie knife method as the most complete approach. It even recounts that famous, maybe apocryphal story of Colonel Bowie breaking his sword but still winning the fight with the broken blade.
Right, the legend.
It emphasizes the effectiveness of his substantial knife. More concretely, it cites an example from Nicaragua, where supposedly 2 Marines skilled in knife fighting held off 20 machete-wielding attackers.
Wow, 2 against 20.
That's the story. It underscores the power of training and having the right tool. The manual even notes that German forces at that time were training with knives similarly to bayonets, showing a broader military recognition of its importance.
Those are powerful endorsements, true or not, of the Bowie knife and the training. So what are some fundamental techniques taught? The manual mentions the outside parry and grab and the inside parry and grab. What's the core principle?
These are basic defensive moves. The outside parry and grab means deflecting an opponent's knife blade away from your body to the outside and immediately grabbing the wrist of their knife hand from the outside with your non-weapon hand.
Okay, parry and grab.
And the inside parry grab is just the mirror image parry inwards grab from the inside. The manual details the follow-through, a firm grip on their wrist, fingers up, thumb down, while simultaneously stepping forward with your lead foot. The goal isn't just to block, but to immediately gain control of their weapon arm.
Disrupt the attack and establish control. Got it. What about the proper way to hold the knife itself, the blade position?
The manual specifies the correct blade position is with the flat sides of the knife held horizontally and the cutting edge facing outwards to your right.
Edge out to the right.
Yes. And this is presented as similar to the guard positions for the bayonet and broadsword. From this position, the main attacks are the hand cut, that slash we discussed, or direct thrust. This structured approach is presented as superior to potentially less disciplined native methods.
A more disciplined and, according to Biddle, more effective way to use the blade. The manual also mentions a specific on-guard position just for using a dagger.
Yes, the on guard for a dagger is a ready stance specifically designed to make the outside parrying grab easier. The illustrations show a posture that allows for a quick, effective outward deflection. It's about being poised for that initial defensive move.
Ready to intercept and counter. Okay. There's also a technique called extend left arm rear in right thrusts. What advantage does that give you?
Extending your non-weapon arm straight back while you're delivering a right-handed thrust with the knife? Well, it's described as a way to enhance both the velocity and the balance of the attack.
How so?
By extending the arm, you use it like a counterweight, and it engages more of your body's core in generating force behind that thrust.
Utilizing your whole body mechanics to maximize the impact makes sense. The incortada thrust sounds like a very precise, almost dance-like move.
It is highly specific, drawing again from fencing terms. The incortada thrust involves stepping your left foot back and to the right of your right foot, very particular foot placement.
Okay, tricky footwork.
And this precise movement is coupled with a corte thrust that's a specific type targeting a lower line opening aimed at the lower unprotected parts of the opponent's body. The manual also mentions its opposite, the stoccata, which is a left step and thrust to the lower right side. These really highlight the emphasis on precision and targeting vital areas.
Intricate footwork to create openings for targeted strikes. What about passata soto? That sounds like a way to dodge a high attack when you're close.
Passata soto is exactly that, a defensive move specifically for countering a high thrust. You step to your left, passing under their outstretched attacking arm, while simultaneously bringing your dagger point up towards their midsection.
Ah, slip under and counter.
Exactly. It's a fluid move that goes right from defense to counterattack, exploiting the opening created by their missed thrust.
Slipping under their attack and immediately threatening a vital area. Very nice. Now, what if you're unarmed against someone with a dagger coming in with an overhand attack? The manual has a section on unarmed defense against overhand dagger assault. That sounds terrifying.
It is a high-stakes situation, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The manual offers two specific defenses.
Mm-hmm.
First, a rapid upward strike with your left hand aimed at the elbow of the attacker's descending arm, trying to deflect the blow.
Just knock it aside.
Right. The manual also includes Colonel Miller's preferred method. You intercept the opponent's descending right forearm with your left hand, quickly step in, pass your right arm behind their right upper arm, and then put your right hand or fist just above their elbow.
Getting leverage.
Exactly. From that leveraged position, you bend their arm backward, potentially breaking it. Both defenses emphasize speed and exploiting vulnerable points in the attacker's arm.
Forceful, direct responses. Relying on quick reflexes and applying leverage. The manual even includes something called the chair sword contest. Seems a bit random. What's that illustrating in the context of knife fighting?
Yeah, the chair sword contest isn't presented as a practical fighting technique for, a trench fight.
Right.
Instead, it serves as a demonstration of the exceptional skill and precision you can develop in wrist movements for both defense and the riposte, that quick counterattack. It highlights the level of blade control possible even when restricted, like sitting in a chair, underscoring the importance of mastering those fine motor skills.
Emphasizing the finesse and control possible with blades. Okay. Let's move now into the realm of unarmed combat, specifically the jujitsu and savate techniques in the manual.
Right. The jiu-jitsu section immediately emphasizes that speed and leverage are key, not just raw strength. It starts with defenses against common close-quarters attacks, like a double-handed throat grab.
Very dangerous.
Extremely. The recommended defense is to instantly bring your own hands up between the attacker's arms and your throat, clasp them together.
Okay, hands clasped.
And then violently raise your clasped hands upwards to break their grip, while simultaneously clapping your open hands hard over their ears.
Ear clap. Ouch!
Yeah. Another initial defense mentioned is simply seizing and forcefully breaking one of their fingers. These are direct, debilitating responses to a lethal threat.
Immediate and brutal counters. The manual also outlines two particularly effective jujitsu strikes. Breaking the windpipe and eyes out.
Yes, breaking the windpipe is just what it sounds like, a sharp, focused blow to the throat using rigid fingers and wrist. Eyes out involves directly pressing or scratching the heel of either hand into the opponent's eyes.
Nasty.
Very. The manual quotes Lieutenant Colonel Samuel G. Taxis, an expert in defendu and jiu-jitsu. He points out that the eyes-out attack, while brutal, needs less precise targeting than a throat strike, so potentially more reliable in a chaotic, fast-moving fight.
Targeting the most vulnerable areas for immediate incapacitation. What about a strike to the nose? The manual mentions that's effective too.
It mentions briefly that a forceful strike to the top of the nose can cause a certain knockout. It doesn't detail the exact delivery, but the implication is a sharp upward blow to that very sensitive area, likely causes massive pain and disorientation.
Straight to a sensitive point.
Okay.
Now, the manual also includes pistol disarming techniques both from the rear and the front. Let's start with pistol disarming from the rear. That's a terrifying scenario.
It is. The manual advises if someone has a gun to your back and says, hands up, your immediate reaction should be a quick turn to your left. As you pivot, you simultaneously strike the opponent's wrist with your left forearm,
Okay, turn and strike the wrist.
followed instantaneously by a left elbow strike to their right arm. The final step is to forcefully reverse their elbow joint, break the arm, essentially, and take the pistol. It's a rapid sequence. Disrupt, strike, break, seize.
Swift, decisive actions to regain control. What about pistol disarming from the front? That seems even more dangerous somehow.
Facing a drawn pistol.
Okay.
Yeah, incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
The manual's initial advice, if they have it pointed at your middle and say hands up, is to swiftly whip your left hand down to grab the wrist of their pistol hand, fingers down, thumb down.
Grab the wrist.
Then sweep their hand hard to your right, aiming to deflect the shot away from you.
Okay, deflect.
Then the manual presents a follow-up from Lieutenant Colonel Kengla. Maintain that left grip, place your right forefinger on the trigger, bend their pistol hand inward, and press the trigger yourself.
Turn their own weapon against them.
Right. However, Major General Julian C. Smith offers a contrasting view. He suggests, if possible, maintain distance, draw your own pistol smartly, step back quickly with your right foot, bring your right forearm horizontal, wrist at your side, and fire. This disagreement really highlights the complexity and the sheer danger of these situations.
Fascinating to see those different perspectives. Critical threat, different approaches. Now, let's look at some specific jujitsu holds and breaks. The manual describes an arm break. How does that work?
This specific arm break starts with a downward grasp with your left palm, putting pressure on the knuckles of the opponent's hand, specifically between the outside second and third finger knuckles of their right hand.
Very specific point.
Yeah. Then you manipulate their forearm to a right angle and apply inward pressure with your left hand for leverage. The final action is to fall to your right, using your body weight to amplify the pressure and break their wrist or arm. It's a clear demo of using pressure points and leverage for a joint lock.
Precise pressure and body mechanics for a disabling injury. The manual also mentions gentle grasps. That sounds odd in a fight.
Gentle grasps in this context are deceptive. The idea is to use seemingly harmless grips with your left hand to distract the opponent, draw their attention.
It's direction.
Exactly. While you simultaneously maneuver their right hand into a vulnerable position where you can then apply significant decisive pressure, it's tactical misdirection.
Using subtlety to set up a forceful move. Okay. The manual even describes using handshakes to subdue someone. That's surprising.
Yeah, these handshakes are definitely not your standard greeting. One method involves taking a really tight grip of their right hand, then forcibly lifting their arm up.
Okay, lift the arm.
Then you slip your left hand underneath to their right shoulder, straighten your left arm below their elbow, and apply downward pressure to control them.
Ah, leverage again.
An alternative is to keep the tight handshake. Then quickly duck your head either right or left under their clasped hands, keeping your grip to trap their arm. It's using that initial contact to gain a big advantage.
Turning a normal interaction into control. What about defending against a simple hand push? How do you counter that?
The defense against a hand push is surprisingly simple, actually. It relies on using their own momentum. If someone pushes you with their palm, you bend forward slightly, put one or both of your hands against theirs, and then just bend their wrist.
Bend the wrist back.
Yeah. It uses their forward force against them, creates sudden pain, and potentially throws them off balance.
Using their own force.
Yeah.
Nice. The finger subjugation sounds particularly painful.
It's designed to be highly effective for breaking a grip, especially if someone has grabbed you from behind. You straighten your forefinger and second finger.
2 fingers straight.
And forcefully press them into the nerve centers on their upper or lower gums, or even their lip. This focused pressure on those trigeminal nerve points causes immediate pain and should force them to let go.
Targeting sensitive nerve clusters for quick release? Ouch! The manual also describes how to lead a person at will using a specific hand grasp. How's that done?
To lead a person at will, you grasp the first 3 fingers of their right hand with your left hand. Your thumb goes on the inside of their hand.
Thumb inside, grasp 3 fingers.
Then you lift their hand, palm upwards, while simultaneously applying downward pressure with your fingers on the back of their hand. This grip apparently gives you significant control over their movement.
Pressure points on the hand for control and manipulation. Okay. The arm thrust and belt hold sounds like a rapid way to neutralize and control someone.
It's described as efficient for quick control. Yeah.
Yeah.
You swiftly grab the front of their belt or trousers with your left hand.
Grab the belt.
And at the same time, you press the heel of your right hand upwards against their chin. This combination controls both their lower body and their head, making it really hard for them to move or attack.
Quick immobilization and control. Got it. Now, the manual also features a section on savate. What are the key techniques highlighted from this French martial art?
Savate, the French foot fighting art, is introduced with a strong emphasis on the toe kick. The manual notes that while this kick might be taboo in formal French fencing, it's highly effective in a real fight.
Okay, the toe kick. Where do you aim?
Primary target is the front shin, just below the knee. The aim is literally to break the joint. It's recommended in street fights to drive an opponent back, setting them up for a follow-up kick with the other foot.
Oof, breaking the shin.
The manual also suggests using the same toe kick, either foot, to strike a seated opponent's open mouth, followed by a hook punch. It's worth noting several other savate attacks are mentioned alongside jiu-jitsu techniques elsewhere, suggesting an integrated approach.
Incorporating lower body strikes for offense and creating openings. The manual also describes a knee in the crotch or break the instep as effective jiu-jitsu or defendu techniques when your hands are trapped.
Right. If an assailant has restrained your hands or arms, the manual advises two immediate, brutal counters. First, violently lift your knee into their crotch.
The classic groin strike.
The classic. The alternative is to deliver a heavy stamp directly onto their instep with your heel, aiming to break the bones in their foot. Both are designed for immediate pain and forcing a release.
Targeting highly vulnerable areas again for a decisive effect. Frisking is also mentioned as a foreign assault. What does that mean here?
This frisking isn't about searching someone. It refers to a quick, aggressive attack on the eyes and nose. You straighten and stiffen your fingers and then rapidly scrape the tips back and forth across the opponent's eyes and the bridge of their nose.
Scraping the eyes and nose?
Yeah. And the manual explicitly links this back to the eyes-out attack from jiu-jitsu, again emphasizing the vulnerability of that area.
Another direct and brutal method. Finally, there's a stark remember section at the end of this part. What's the key takeaway?
The manual strongly emphasizes a crucial principle. The assailant's eyes are always an accessible and vulnerable target. It even recounts Lieutenant Colonel Tax's rather extreme method, carrying a handkerchief loaded with buckshot in his pocket, ready to flick into an attacker's eyes.
Buckshot in a handkerchief. Wow.
Yeah, it just underscores the importance of recognizing and exploiting that critical vulnerability in any close encounter.
A stark reminder of a fundamental weakness. Okay, let's move on to the final section we're covering today, boxing.
Right, the boxing section starts by focusing on Robert Fitzsimmons' famous death-dealing punch. The manual meticulously explains the killing shift, the technique he used for knockouts.
Okay, break it down.
It involves a specific sequence. You step forward with your right foot, aiming towards the opponent's chin, followed by a right hook. As your right foot lands, your left foot pivots so the toes point right. The momentum carries your left hooked forearm down until your elbow is at a right angle below your left knee.
Getting low.
Yeah. Finally, your right arm straightens and you pivot on your right foot to generate speed for a left-hand punch upwards from below the opponent's chin. The manual explicitly notes the devastating potential of this upward punch to the upper jaw, how it can drive the brain into the base of the skull, potentially causing death.
Whoa.
Fitzsimmons often used a preliminary blow to put his opponent off guard before starting this shift. It's a clear illustration of using biomechanics for maximum impact.
That's highly detailed and clearly lethal, the whole body synchronized for that force. What was the preferred setup for delivering that finishing punch?
The manual describes a specific preparation after the initial shift. Instead of going straight for the jaw, you first drive a left fist into the solar plexus, that vulnerable spot below the ribs, above the stomach.
Body blow first.
Right. This powerful body blow is meant to momentarily paralyze the opponent, make them sag, drop their guard, lean forward, creating the perfect opening to deliver that upward knockout punch to the jaw. It's a strategic 1-2 punch, body blow, to set up the headshot.
A calculated combination. The manual also mentions other famous boxers in relation to Fitzsimmons' techniques. What's the significance there?
It notes that Stanley Ketchel studied and copied Fitzsimmons' shifts, but reportedly didn't fully master the whole combination. It also highlights Lieutenant Colonel Alan Shapley's recognized expertise in the shift. These references really just underscore how effective and studied these techniques were at the time. They were considered signature, powerful moves.
Almost legendary techniques in the boxing world, then. The manual also describes the Fitzsimmons sidestep. How did this footwork help him avoid punches?
The Fitzsimmons sidestep is presented as a remarkably effective way to dodge an opponent's left lead. The jab, a super common and crucial punch.
Okay, how does it work?
As the opponent throws their left jab, you pivot on the heel of your forward left foot, rotating your toes to face right. Simultaneously, you lift your right foot just an inch and replace it. The manual claims this subtle move is much more reliable than slower reactions like ducking or parrying. It even points out how important the left jab was. Corbett's favorite, won the championship for Tunney against Dempsey, emphasizing the value of a sure defense against it.
A subtle shift in stance to completely evade a key offensive move. Clever. Finally, there's the neck grab, rabbit punch, and pivot blow, another set attributed to Fitzsimmons. This sounds particularly rough.
This combination is described as especially useful in, let's say, less formal combat scenarios, outside boxing rules. It starts with feinting a blow to distract them.
Feint.
Then, instead of punching, you quickly reach behind and grab their neck, pull them forward so their head is down. Then you deliver alternating open-palmed slaps to the back of their neck, the rabbit punch, until they're groggy.
Oof, the rabbit punch.
Once they're vulnerable, smash their face with your fist. As a follow-up, the manual mentions an outlawed pivot blow. Pivot right in a circle on your rear right foot and strike their face with the outside of your bent right elbow.
Elbow strike on the pivot. Nasty.
It's a sequence of increasingly brutal actions designed to quickly incapacitate someone outside the rules of a regulated fight.
That's a very aggressive and, yeah, less conventional set of tactics, especially that pivot blow. Well, this has been an incredibly detailed exploration. We've covered everything from the precise movements of bayonet fencing to the brutal efficiency of knife fighting, unarmed combat, even specialized boxing maneuvers.
Indeed. Colonel Biddle's manual offers a fascinating and often quite stark look into the close-quarters combat training of that era. It really was a world where individual self-preservation in a physical fight was a very real, very immediate concern.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you listening, after diving into all these historical methods, what fundamental principles of self-defense do you think truly endure, regardless of the weapon or the situation?
Good question.
Is it that unwavering focus on vital targets, the critical importance of speed, leverage, decisive action, or maybe it's the underlying mental fortitude needed to survive that kind of encounter?
Probably a mix of all of those, really.
It's certainly a lot to consider, and a powerful reminder of the primal nature of combat.